Hi, this is Brendan Davis from Bedrock Games and the Bedrock blog, and I'm here with Adam Balderstone for another episode of Bedrock and Balderstone to talk about Farscape Season 1. This is going to be episodes 12 and 13. Now, depending on which order you're watching them in, they could vary. So I saw it on Prime, and the order I saw it was episode 12 was the Flax, and episode 13 was Rhapsody in Blue. But Adam has informed me that this is actually not the preferred order of the show creators. They prefer the reverse of that. As a courtesy to me, Adam is going to allow us to discuss it in the order that I saw it in, just because I'm probably going to be a dumbass and screw things up and put them out of order. So we think it's safer to talk about them in the order that I watched them in.
And it's really not a big deal either way. There's one tiny thread between the two that where it makes difference. And it actually works either way. Which we'll get to that thread.
But is this a thing though, where certain fans will become irate if you don't mention that?
It's a TV show. Certain fans will become irate no matter what we do. So yeah, but no, it's like I said. So we'll go with the Flax first, because I'm going in the DVD order, which is I believe the preferred order, and it's gone up on Amazon Prime since we started this, because clearly, Bezos listened to the podcast, and we totally sold him on putting the show on Prime. But so
why don't we talk about the Flax first then, which is basically like what is it? Aaron and John go up on a like a flight exercise so that he can learn to train.
Test.
Yeah,
yes.
And they get stuck in this stuff called the Flax, which was put there by these Venetian pirates. And then this weird guy named Stans shows up and helps Diargo go find them, and then Diargo has to kind of choose, right? Like the whole thing is moral dilemmas, right? Diargo is choosing between his son and rescuing his friends, and Aaron and John are choosing who's going to die in the ship because of disaster that strikes there. So I think that's the basic plot, right? Am I missing anything or?
Yeah, there's the other thread going on where Zahn is with Rigel, and they're trying to deal with the pirate captain Krakich, who he's looking for Stans, and they're trying to pretend that they don't know. But there's a lot going on there, and of course there's Rigel's whole love of Todek, this game that he really wants everyone to play with him.
So the thing I want to say right away about this episode, just before I forget, the ending totally took me by surprise. I had zero preparation in my head for where they went with the Stans character. That was a total curveball. And really, I thought it was amusing. It was very well done. There was something charming about it. Do you know what I mean? There's something very the character became very endearing in that moment. Because before it was sort of like I saw Stans as like a more annoying version of Mad Max. Do you know what I mean? Like he felt like he was plucked out of a Mad Max movie, number one.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. This spaceship that operates by burning dolls was
just the whole way his ship was set up, his personality, his attire, his makeup. But then when we find out he's the female of his species, that was because when you see Stans, he's the opposite of what you think of when you think of a female. Do you know what I mean? He's just presented as sort of a dopey, masculine type character, and he falls in love with Diargo over the course of the story. And I just thought that was the last thing that I expected for that character to reveal in that moment. So,
yeah, it's an unusual twist, because there's three plot threads in this. So when you said the ending's probably like, which ending? But yeah. But yeah, this I like at the beginning, just diving into the episode at all. I mean, like I said, they get stuck in the Flax, then we jump back to Moya again, and Rigel's having this, he's trying to annoy the hell out of Zahn by banging on his game and making that noise over and over and over again. I love Pilot coming in with that horrible screeching noise over the intercom, and just the dry way he says, "Oh, sorry about that. I must have hit the wrong button." It's just this Pilot, when he gets passive aggressive, is always really entertaining.
Rigel had a pretty impressive storyline. I thought this episode. I was intrigued where it went with him. I like that he sort of, he was basically bored, and that was my feeling was that was his amusement. Was I don't think he even really cared about saving the companions so much as just not being bored anymore.
It was all the game he was playing.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I love about the Rigel plotline is it's setting it up to look like Rigel is going to do this despicable thing and sell out Stans and Dargo, but on a lot of shows would do a plot like that, but it would never really be plausible that this cast member would do something that despicable. Yeah. But this show with Rigel, you're like, yeah, I totally believe that Rigel would have gone the other way.
Yeah.
So it works much better than it would in a lot of other shows because, you really can't tell which way Rigel's going to flip.
And I guess the more important plot development is the kiss between, well, more than a kiss between Aaron Sun and John Crichton. You've sort of been expecting it, like they've been building to it over the whole season, and I really thought this was just going to be a tease. I thought it was going to be another one of those things where you expect them to kiss because the CPR and all that, but no, they're not going to. And so. And also, they didn't do it that way. They made you think the CPR was going to be the moment, but it was actually after that. Perhaps because they had a taste of one another through the CPR, but it was still done. The moment of passion was after that. So I don't. Go ahead.
I also like the fact that most shows, the typical cliche way to do this is like 2 seconds before they kiss, when their lips are about an inch apart. That's when Dargo would have burst in and nothing would have happened. They would have been like, oh, that would be the standard way. But no, they're already stripping out of their spacesuits and everything by the time Dargo shows up.
They're basically about to have sex when he shows up. Like that's
And Dargo's totally aware of it. He's just got that classic, thing when you walk into a room where something's going on, they're pretending it's not, but you know what was going on 10 seconds before.
Well, he would especially know what's going on. He could probably smell the pheromones in the room.
Yeah, exactly.
But I thought that I don't know. I like that. I can see how the order is actually important in light of that part of the episode, because given the episode that follows or that precedes it, depending on the order, in Rhapsody in Blue, he has a moment with Zahn that is a little weird to have him have after he kisses Sun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is weird. I had actually thought about that aspect of it, but that is strange.
So if Rhapsody in Blue is actually meant to come before, I can sort of see that makes more sense. Actually, do you know what I mean? I can see why. Because it's a little less weird since he's not doing it on the heels of
that. Yeah, that would be strange. I mean, and the element I was thinking of that carries between the two episodes is, Dargo goes and checks the criminal records they have on the ship from when the Peacekeepers ran it and finds Stans as used to be a pirate and everything, and Zahn is, saying, well, not everybody, not everybody is guilty of what the Peacekeepers say they are. And Dargo just very sternly says, well, have you looked at what they said about you? And it's like, if you've seen the other episode before, you know exactly what Dargo's talking about. He's talking about the fact that, the other episode, you do find out what her crime is. And if you notice, Zahn says, what do you mean by that? And she's very tense about it, because he's basically saying, you're guilty of what you what the records say you did. You killed your lover. So it's I'd say that's another point where it makes a difference. But I guess you can read it the other way and see it as foreshadowing, maybe. But I don't know.
I think the episodes work better the other way around for sure. Now that I'm really thinking about it, But yeah, I don't know. I thought this was like a a really good episode. I was pleased with it all around. I think the next episode is better for sure. Like that was my favorite out of the two. But this one I enjoyed, and I thought there was, again, that plot beat with Sun and Crichton is obviously important. So,
yeah, I mean, it's a big Erin moment too, that she has reached this point where it's like just her mere survival isn't enough. It's like the idea of surviving, but him dying just like nah. It's a big moment.
and I did like sort of the moral dilemma aspect of it. Sort of like there's one helmet and only one of us can wear it, and it's again it's sort of it's a little bit weakened by the fact that they ultimately don't have a choice because the helmet that they want to use won't fit Crichton anyways, so they have to go with Sun.
Well, yeah, I kind of like that though, because it flips it. It's like they've made up their minds, they know what they're going to do, and then suddenly the situation flips again.
Okay.
If they'd immediately noticed the helmet only fit one person, that would have. That would have. Then I'd agree with you that it weakened it. But the fact that they wait till the last moment to go, oh, wait a second.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, so and I guess also the other thing that's going on is this: if this episode comes after the Zahn episode, those mental hallucinations that they're having are actually more frightening. Do you know what I mean? Than if it comes before. Like with the whole Jothi thing, right?
Yeah.
That would have been a little bit more frightening following the Rhapsody in Blue episode, I think, because you would have been thinking, oh, maybe it's related to that. Do you know what I mean?
Wait, but the Jothi that was in Rhapsody in Blue.
Was it? Oh, I'm okay. I apologize. I'm getting them confused.
Yeah.
I thought it was in the Flax that he was confused about his son.
No. During Rhapsody in Blue, when they're about to go down to the planet, he and Aaron are going to go back down to the planet. So they give them the hallucinations to stop them from coming.
Oh, that's right. He's okay. I got them mixed up. So I apologize. Now I know why I got them mixed up. He's trying to find the map in that ship to help him track down his son. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. My apologies.
And he ultimately decides, doesn't want to find his son and let his friends die in the process.
Well,
so
when that was going on, all I was thinking was, I do not trust Stan. Stan seems very untrustworthy. I don't think that he's going to get to, like that ship's going to be riddled with problems when he gets there or something, So I was nervous on that. And again, I obviously I misjudged. I had no idea where they were going to go with Stan's, but
yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. It was a good episode, and I think my favorite bit though is actually the Rigel stuff. Seeing him kind of scheming the way he's scheming, and just the joy that he's taking in all this stuff unfolding. And Zahn has no idea.
Zahn's frustration. She's like, "Why are you blowing this?" And he's playing this deeper game. It's like he's using Zahn's frustration to make his deception more convincing. That she genuinely believes it. So and I like the smoking too. Just him having that like hookah, the smoke coming out of his mouth. It just adds this whole air to the character that really works.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool part of the episode. I like the game they were playing too. It really matters when they're playing a game like that it feel like a real game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels like a part of the world. It doesn't feel like something that they just threw a bunch of crap on the table that looked futury. I mean, it looked futury, but it looked like a real game. It wasn't. I can't remember the name of the martial art in Star Trek that I'm always talking about, but that martial art that Riker does with his father, that's so stupid. It wasn't like that. It was like this felt like, oh yeah, I could see a game that looks like that and seems to play the way that they're playing. It looked like a real designed game to me.
I mean, it had the dynamic of back and forth dynamic when they were playing too. Just the way they acted around it, it felt like they were playing a game.
And on top of that, it looked cool and impressive. So it's sort of a lot of times what they'll do in these movies and these shows is when it's the future and they're playing a game, they'll do something that looks cool and impressive but makes no sense. Do you know what I mean? Just when you think about what it was, it's like, well, I don't even understand what that was. But this, I could make sense of the movements and stuff. You know, it had there seemed to be some kind of internal logic to it. So I don't know. I guess we should probably move on to Rhapsody in Blue, unless you have any other points you want to make about the Flash.
For the moment, I'm okay. I might jump backwards at some point because I'm a little bit thrown off by the fact that we're doing it in a weird order. But so something might come back to me. But I think I got the basics down.
Well, what's terrible is we did it as a courtesy to me, but then I still went and screwed them up and got them intertwined. So
we'll carry on somehow.
But I really liked Rhapsody in Blue. I thought it was a really good episode. I liked it on a number of fronts. Number one, I instantly bought the people and the place that they took us to, right? And that's not always easy. You know, I haven't instantly bought every place that we've been to. Here, I instantly bought it. I think in part because it all kind of flows from Zahn, and so all the pieces made sense immediately when I saw them. Do you know what I mean? Like I had already accepted all of the basic precepts of the episode, and I really liked the Crichton background stuff, which initially I was like, oh no, we're on Earth again, and he's got a girl, and this is gonna suck. Do you know what I mean? I was like, this is gonna be terrible. We're gonna get 15 minutes of this romance that he had back on Earth that I don't care about at all. And they did a really good job with it though, and they did a good job of. I understood why they introduced that when it starts becoming relevant again. Do you know what I mean? It was important for them to lay that piece down early in the episode.
But you talked about the Zahn thing. It would be weird watching it in the other order too, from the standpoint that he just has the thing with Aaron start, and all of a sudden he's got Alex back on his mind again. It's
no, that was that. I and in fact I had that thought. I was like, oh well, I guess he's over the thing that he had with Sun just now. And also neither of them are acknowledging what just happened. There's no. I mean, maybe when we get to Jeremiah Crichton, there will be no recognition of the event that transpired between them. But I would expect there to be at least some visual cue that they are aware of the discomfort following that. You know what I mean? And here it was just like, no, it's like that never happened.
Never happened. But it's I'm a little hazy on how much of a cue we're going to get because it's been a little while since I've watched the show past this point. But I mean, in this episode too, it would be weird, that they made the choice in this episode basically that they kind of kick Aaron out of the story. She gets kicked out of the temple, has to go back, and so when Crichton's going through the whole thing with Alex, Aaron isn't even around, which would seem weird if they'd already. You'd think they'd want her to be part of that story, but I feel the DVD order works better for that reason.
So we learn about Zahn's crimes, which is and so I don't know if I followed it 100%. It sounded like there was a political leader who allied with the peacekeepers in order to extend his bloc's stay in power, and then they basically started repressing the population. Right, and so she got revenge by becoming his lover, and then.
I think she was already his lover.
Oh, she was already his lover by the time that happened?
I don't think she became his lover to kill him. I think she was his lover, but he, because I think she said she was his student or something.
Okay, so she was okay. So that actually makes it even more impactful in my opinion, because I thought she became his lover in order to get the revenge. But the revenge is they have this thing called unity, which is like it's kind of like the spiritual version of having sex, right? Like it's like a more sensual mind meld, right?
Pretty much.
And so your souls become one, your minds become one, and it's presented as vaguely erotic. I would say, wouldn't you agree with that? And so she does this with him, and I guess that's also a key moment where you're vulnerable. And she, I think what she did was she basically unlocked her own rage and put it into him, right? Until he died. Was that how she killed him? I wasn't 100% clear.
Yeah, I don't think they make it entirely clear what she mentally does, so I can't really answer that question. But
she said something about having demons for him, so that's why I thought.
Yeah. No, no, what you're saying makes sense. Like I said, they don't say it with 100% certainty, but I like your explanation.
But
But
it was pretty horrifying to watch because when you're seeing the flashback, you have no idea what's coming, and it just looks like, oh, we're getting to see Zahn's romantic backstory. That's what we're getting to see. She had a husband or something, or a lover of importance, and then you're like, oh my god, no! And the words that they're speaking, it's like, oh, we're becoming one, and now I will, I will fill your soul with joy, or I don't know what she said, but you're not expecting her to suddenly go, now I'm going to, unleash demons upon you, and and then he screams, and it's terrible. So
yeah, I like Crichton being genuinely rattled by the whole thing too. It was just like, what the hell was that?
What I loved about Crichton's reaction was he was so fixated on, you killed the guy you were having sex with.
Yeah.
It was a really, I understood why he fixated on that, but it seemed like an odd thing. It sort of made Crichton look a little bit douchey, but in a good way for the episode, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like a real reaction.
Yeah.
In a somewhat ridiculous way he worded it. But, it's I mean, I like the interaction between the characters here, Talene, Hosko, and Lorana, and Lorana too, the woman that is masquerading as Alex for a lot of the episode. She, I mean, you're talking about how it's kind of got the sensual thing, the thing where Lorana is now doing unity with Talene. I mean, the way Talene talks about it later, it's like, oh, well, I was just having unity with you because you were easy, and
the Talene character, she's the one you said that was masquerading as Alex, right?
No, Lorana was the one masquerading. Talene
okay.
is the head one.
Okay. So Lorana was the one, I found her storyline the most interesting because she kind of almost seems to fall in love with Crichton through the process of seducing him with the Alex. I thought that was really, really interesting. Because I like the idea. Because normally you'll often have characters that employ those kind of tricks in this kind of a show. I like that there was a cost for the person using it. Do you know what I mean? That there was sort of like that it wasn't that she was actually having real emotions in these interactions with him that developed.
Yeah.
That was very interesting to me, and it also planted a seed that, who knows, maybe it'll become relevant in the future. Maybe she returns as a character later, or we don't know. But I really like that. I liked a lot of the stuff about this episode. I thought that everything was really really just worked well here. I mean, I don't know if there's probably details that I'm glossing over, but
but going back to the Lorana thing too, it's like the fact that she can't deal with it anymore because she genuinely starts to like Crichton because of Crichton. Basically, his loyalty to Zahn is strong enough that she, she's kind of won over. And I mean, and that is ultimately what leads to the solution and how to help Zahn, is that he's like, oh well, you just have to show Zahn how you see her, and that'll help her get her mindset back.
I gotta say, I kind of liked the darker Zahn a little bit. I thought she was a little bit sexier, and the sort of when her rage was less controlled.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not just saying that to be funny. I think with a character like hers, that's actually really important because her character is like a sex priestess, right? Like that's kind of what she is. Like it's a very unusual character type, and it kind of harkens back to like really ancient practices you read about in like Mesopotamia and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like it's got like an ancient pedigree, but it's something that you don't often see in as a main character in a TV show. And to get the explanation of sort of how, like, number one, she actually levels up during this episode, right? She becomes a level 10.
She does, yeah.
But the path to getting there, you sort of learn about this rage that I guess they're all sort of having to contend with. Is it just her? Or like, I don't understand. What
yeah, I mean, it seems like it's something that, I mean, it just kind of seems that it can be a problem any of them can have if they push too hard. I mean, it's it's kind of wuxia-esque in a way with some of this stuff. That it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, if they level up too fast, they can just develop this negative energy, and it can eat them away.
And the reason why I think making her a little bit more sexy when that happens is because it also makes her more dangerous to the viewer. I mean, you feel,
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's not just like a gratuitous thing. It adds to the sense of, oh, this character's dark side is actually really dangerous and significant. And there are moments when you're like, oh, is she going to, like, when Crichton tries to help her, you're like, should he be doing that? He might be exposing himself to, she might just
yeah.
kill him, because we don't know what she's capable of. We know she can kill. We know that she's killed before.
Yeah,
And
well, she's planning to kill again at that point. She's
yeah,
already decided she's going to. She's told Pauline, "Oh, I'll do Unity with you again. You can get the rest." But her, Crichton figures it out. He's like, "You're going to kill her, aren't you? You're just going to go in there and boom." So, yeah, she is back in her murderer state again.
but what's
So,
interesting is after she levels up, she puts her vestments away and says she's not worthy of them.
yeah,
And so I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know if, oh, maybe she felt that she failed because she gave into the rage, and so she needs to take time to sort of control her emotions, or whatever, or maybe she just doesn't want to be a priestess anymore. The other thought I had was, well, maybe what happened was she had unity with Crichton, and and it wasn't just unity. It was like he actually saved her from
yeah.
a descent into evil, for lack of a better description. And I mean, that's I think a common reaction that a person would have if they were in her shoes is to fall in love with the person who saved them. Do you know what I mean? That's like and so I was wondering, oh, maybe she doesn't feel worthy because she has some sort of emotional attachment to Crichton now. So I didn't know if it was that, or I had a third option which I forgot about. But I was wondering, well, what's the reason why she put the vestments away? What, like, why doesn't she feel worthy?
Yeah, there's definitely an interesting connection between Zahn and Crichton in this show. I mean, going back to the episode of what is it? Oh man, Back and Back and Back to the Future, for example. In that one where I don't know, I just feel that she makes more effort to understand Crichton than a lot of the other characters, and there's
that's her personality too, because she's kind of like she's sort of like tends to people emotionally also, right? Like that sort of, she seems to be a very empathetic character.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, I would imagine after that experience that creates some kind of bond that they're going to have in the future.
Yeah.
So I just didn't know. I don't know. I'm just very curious about that last scene and where that's going to lead to. I'm assuming we get some explanation of it later on. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good. I like the closing of that scene too, where he's like, well, isn't that just a waste after all that time? It's like, no, it wasn't a waste. The happiest years of my life. It's a really bittersweet closing to the episode. I find a lot of Farscape episodes are really good at kind of closing on this kind of powerful line.
Well, and I guess you just don't know. So does that mean she's permanently not going to be? I forget what the title is, but whatever her title was, she's not going to be one of those anymore. She's not going to be a priestess.
Pa'u. Yeah.
Pa'u. Is she? Does that mean she can't use her powers anymore, or is that like that? I have all these questions that I want answered now. Which I think is good. If a show does that, it's good. I think what I wouldn't want to see though is for them to just act like that didn't happen. That would be, I think.
Yeah. No, like I said, I'm a little hazy on a lot of the details going forward because I've been resisting the urge to go too far ahead in the show, but and it's been a while since I watched it before. But yeah, I like the detail. One detail that's interesting in this episode is the beginning when they're all talking about their dreams. All the guys are like, "Oh yeah, I had this dream about my lover," and blah blah blah, and they all realize they had a similar kind of dream, and then Zahn just totally out of character, doesn't want to talk about it. It's like, oh, you and your masculine sex dreams. Just, once you know a little later in the episode, well, she did have the dream because she brings it up to Talene.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to talk about her last time with her lover because it was her murdering him. So it's like her shutdown there is really telling. But, that's the more obvious thing. But Aaron also nothing. And
it raises that question.
Why does Aaron shut down the conversation? What is she hiding?
And did we get Rigel's?
Yeah, Rigel had his 100 maidens that he he
all
had
his
at the
wives,
palace.
right? All his wives.
But
But they already established that they don't really have erogenous zones, right? The creatures that he is. Didn't they? Or they don't have.
I don't know if they established that exactly. I don't know. I mean,
there was
they
something
breed in
about
a different way. They're water breeders or something like that. Was what he said. They're not body breeders. Is his term?
That's what he said. Okay.
So I don't know what that exactly means. It's only so deep I want to go into Rigel's sex life in my mind, so I'll leave that alone.
Also, just on that point alone, I love the way that the thing at the end with Stans was not just like, oh, we just threw that in at the last minute. They telegraphed that from the very beginning of the episode when Stans drops his or her pants.
Yeah.
And they comment on, well, you're bipedal and you don't seem to have anything there. So...
cut from the common mold or whatever. It's
the
standard mold. Yeah, and but yeah, another interesting thing about this episode too is you get more insight into how the Peacekeepers works. We already know the Peacekeepers were hired to come in and take Rigel out. Rigel's cousin brought the Peacekeepers in, and they basically helped stage this coup to get Rigel's cousin in power and arrested Rigel. And now we see what happened with Zahn's people, where this guy hired the Peacekeepers to keep him in power, and so it's like they're just really good at ingratiating themselves into these internal power structures. They don't conquer planets; they just pick a faction and support a faction.
That's why they're peacekeepers, right? That's why they're called the peacekeepers.
Exactly.
But it also kind of adds a complexity to it, because now it's not so much that they're going around conquering people against their will. These places are bringing it on themselves to an extent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The moral culpability isn't as obvious anymore.
But
the peacekeepers are still probably atrocious.
I like the way it's brought up, but it isn't hammered home. There isn't a conversation. You just kind of have these facts. You can kind of piece everything together yourself. It's a nice way of doing the backstory there.
Yeah, no, I think the morality of this show is pretty interesting. Actually, I'm very it seems to come up frequently enough that they raise moral issues. And they're often not really fully resolved. So I don't know. I feel like maybe I should be paying more attention to those details. But yeah, this was I really like this episode, and I think this is definitely got me between the two of these. I'm definitely like, okay, I need to see what comes down the pike now. Like, I really need to see what's coming up next. And so I think they did a fantastic job. So I don't know, is there anything else that we need to go over with this episode? I can't remember.
I think
did I have any other
covered
points?
It.
Yeah, I think we did cover everything.
I've hit all the points in my notes. I'll say that.
Yeah, I had one point in my note, which was which was Crichton's obsession with the sex detail in the murder. Because everything else I figured I remember. But yeah, so I don't know, I'm definitely looking forward to what's coming next.
So I believe we've got Jeremiah Crichton's the next episode, then Durka Returns, I believe is after that. Is that what you have, or do you have some other order?
Yeah, who is Durka again?
Durka is the guy that had Rigel, that captured Rigel. Remember, we saw that flashback episode on this Albinian, the one with the tech girl. Where he wanted to confront Durka and found his corpse.
Okay.
So now we have the intriguingly titled Durka Returns.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. yeah, we'll again, and we should tell people this is actually available on Prime now, right?
Yeah.
So I've been watching it on Prime, and again, it's an older show, so the one thing to be aware of on Prime is that it's fit to like a TV screen. It's like a square rather than a widescreen thing.
I believe next season, I think it does go widescreen.
It does. Okay. Yeah, because what was it, 99? So yeah, it's probably like right on the edge of.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly when all of our TVs started becoming widescreen, but I do know it happened at a certain point in the 2000s.
In the 2000s. Yeah, I mean, not many people had widescreen by 2000, but it was definitely a thing that was going to happen. So they started making TV shows ready for it by that point. Yeah,
I don't know. When I still had a tube TV until about 2010 maybe. And then,
that sounds fair.
That seemed like a good number year to advance my technology. So
yeah, that was when they started to hit the point where they weren't a ridiculous extravagance. Certainly.
No, that's when you could get them at Walmart and stuff. That's what we've been doing. Is we always get our TVs at Walmart. Rather than go and get something super expensive. But yeah, so again, people can watch it on Prime, and which is, I guess, kind of a thing with us because it makes it easier for us to all watch the same thing if it's on Prime.
Yeah. I mean, we had the same lucky experience with Babylon 5, where Babylon 5 showed up on Prime after we covered it. So It's good timing.
I think it actually showed up. Oh no, I ended up buying Babylon 5 on Prime. Is how I was watching it when we saw it. I just ended up buying it.
I'm saying, you're right. With that, it hit Prime right after we were done with the podcast.
Yeah, because I own like most of Babylon 5, I think, at this point. Like, I'm pretty sure I bought like all the seasons.
I have that all on DVD. So, but yeah, it's interesting. We had the problem with the with the order this episode because I got an email from a friend of mine who listens to the podcast who was confused about the order because he actually has it on videotape from when he was recording it as it came out. So he's got the original airing order. So the fact that we've been doing it in the DVD order, he's like, why are all these episodes in the wrong place?
That I could see how that would cause confusion.
And Prime is doing his order, so they agree with him. So
we should say to our listeners, definitely write into us with questions or comments, and we will often be able to talk about them on the show. Or if you have a topic you want us to discuss, send that along. And just because the Prime thing came up, I should mention the Patreon again because we have a Patreon account for Wuxia Weekend. But definitely, if you like this show, consider contributing to the Patreon for that because that's the sort of thing that we would, if we ever need to pick up a DVD or something for both of us to watch an old show and it's not available on Prime or something, that's what would enable us to do it. So again, this is a very good show. It's a very different show though. It's one that like is not like a lot of other shows that I've seen that are science fiction-y in this way. It's definitely
it's unique. Definitely, I can't compare it exactly to be like any other science fiction show that's out there.
And I think the characters are at this point in the show they all really work. There isn't a character that I dislike. Do you know what I mean? There isn't a character that I'm like, oh, we got to have an episode around this guy this week, So
yeah. I remember you were a little iffy on Crichton, I think, in some of the early episodes. Just not that you hated him, but just he wasn't as interesting. But I feel like he gets more and more interesting as the season goes on.
You know what it is? He does this thing with his eyes when he's talking to people. Like he'll be saying something really serious, but his eyes will be like that. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if you can see him. I think, and to me, that's that's why I use the word douche. He looks like somebody who's not being sincere. It looks like he's kind of got there's like a jock, and I don't mean this I'm not saying this like against all jocks or all athletes. I'm just saying there's kind of like I don't know, there's a thing that certain guys do where they say something that sounds sincere, but their eyes tell you that they're not being sincere. Do you know what I mean? And Crichton does that a lot. And I don't know if it's because that's just the actor or if it's a choice for the character. Do you know what I'm saying? So, But
Yeah, I'll have to think about that. But
do you know what I'm talking about, or am I just nitpicking?
I'm not certain. Like I said, I need to kind of watch and think about it as I watch.
It's like his pupils are like half covered by his eyelids when he is talking to people sometimes. And it's
Yeah, I
something
don't know.
about that
I actually, on the whole, like the character a lot, so I may not be seeing what you're seeing, but it's.
Well,
But yeah,
tell me, what do you
it,
like about the character? What do you find compelling about Crichton?
That's a tricky question. Uh, 'Cause, I mean, honestly, I got to say, I've seen the whole series, so there's things that I like that I can't even get into fully. But I don't know. I like his. Let's table this for the next
Okay,
podcast.
that's
And I
fine.
will answer this question the next podcast with a prepared answer.
All right,
But,
so we'll stop at
but
that cliffhanger. People can tune in next time and find out why Adam likes Crichton.
Adam likes Crichton.
So they'll be on the edge of their seats
get
until
everyone back.
yeah.
But and I will say one more thing, just related, is this is the Henson Company does the special effects on this. The trailer for the Dark Crystal TV series on Netflix just came out today, so just something Henson related. That,
The Dark
people who
Crystal
like
was a great
Farscape.
movie. I don't know how I
yeah.
feel about a TV series, to be honest. I feel like
I don't know who's doing it. That would
Well,
be the question.
I just feel like sometimes you need to leave things alone. Like the Dark
Sure.
Crystal was a good movie, and it made its impact, and I have fond memories of it. And now I don't know that I want that to be tampered with. Do you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
piece of history is all
It's-
settled. Why mess it up? Do you know what I mean?
Why mess it up? Yeah, I know. I understand your concern, but I just want more Henson TV shows. Like I said, I like Farscape. I like the old stuff like Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, and it's like just the fact that somebody is giving the Henson Workshop some money to do their thing is exciting to me.
But don't you feel that the Dark Crystal kind of requires the mind of Jim Henson himself? Do you know what I mean? Like, doesn't that was his baby, wasn't it? Wasn't.
Well,
he,
I don't. It depends if Brian Froud is involved too, the guy that did all the art for it too. So there's
is he
multiple.
he's
minds.
still alive? I'm assuming.
I think he's still alive. And I haven't heard of him dying.
Um,
But if he's, like I said, I just saw the trailer shortly before we started recording podcasts today, so I haven't had a chance to look into who's actually making this thing.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I just always thought of that as like a real, like really indicative of Jim Henson's worldview and just his way. It just had Henson written all over it. So I don't know. I'm of the mindset. I don't know if I'll be watching a TV series, like that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I'm gonna give it a look, but
well, you can report back, and maybe if it's intriguing enough to you, I'll reluctantly join in and watch.
We just got a trailer now too, so I don't even know when this thing is coming out.
Now that I have, now that we're talking trailers and stuff, did you see the new Star Wars trailer?
I did. Yeah.
Did you hear the news about Palpatine?
I heard the laugh of Palpatine in the trailer.
So they've confirmed that he's going to be in the film, and it's going to be played by what's his name, the guy that played him in the.
Yeah. I figured they'd bring him back again. I got just the laugh in there. I thought, okay, yeah, that guy's still around. Why wouldn't you have him in there?
But do you?
I don't know. I just didn't really get into the last one very much. I kind of liked it okay the first time, and I liked it less the second time I watched it. And so I'm not.
You weren't enthused.
I don't know.
A lot of people were turned off by the last movie, and I think we even had a conversation about it where I had watched it months later, and I thought it was good. I enjoyed it, but I could definitely see the criticisms were not unwarranted in a lot of the cases, right? There was a lot of stuff that you could complain about for real with that movie.
I didn't have some of the criticisms that a lot of people were going on about, but it just didn't hang together for me. I don't know. I mean, it didn't feel. I don't know. It just it felt like it was being too clever and trying to subvert your expectations at every point, to the point where it's like, well, it doesn't even feel like a Star Wars movie anymore.
And I was thinking about that today, and I was like, well, I don't really mind when a movie does that, but when it's the eighth movie in a franchise and it's suddenly doing that, that feels weird. Do you know what I mean? It makes
It kept doing it, too, through the whole movie. Oh, we're subverting your expectations. And 10 minutes later, we're going to subvert your expectations. And it's like, it's not surprising anymore. I'm seeing the strings now.
Well, and the other thing about that is it's not really that clever in the first place to do.
Exactly.
It's not like it's the easiest thing in the world to flip tropes or flip expectations or go against expectations. It requires zero effort. All it requires is an awareness of what the expectations or tropes are, and then turning them and turning them on their heads. So and it's not, and also, and again, I had no problem with the moral message of that movie, and I do want to say, just to head off any criticism, I loved Rose Tico as a character. I thought she was great.
Yeah, Rose is great. We'll get that out.
But something
I liked Rose.
Something that I do hear that sort of frustrates me is just a consumer of media, is people will give a movie more moral weight because it does these things, and I don't think there's anything moral about flipping tropes or subverting expectations. I just don't. I think that's a horrible way to sort of look at morality. I think
a lot of people got overly excited. I wasn't a fan of the movie, but it's not an outrage to me, or I don't really. There's not. I'm not. I think people put too much importance on that movie.
No, and I agree. And I think the problem is now what we have a situation where that movie split people totally down the middle. In almost like a partisan way. Like people were putting things on that movie that had nothing to do with that movie. Do you know what I mean? And so now the directors have a choice. They can continue the trajectory of that film, right? Or they can say, you know what, that film deviated too far, so we're going to go back to the arc that was started with episode 7. Do you know what I mean? And I think both of those are perfectly valid choices. But no matter which one they make, they're going to piss off half of the audience now. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. They can't avoid it. So no matter what they do with this movie, unless they find a way of seamlessly blending what happened with 8 and continuing with 7, they're going to piss off everybody. They're going to piss off half the people. So I don't know. I just don't think we should be putting so much pressure on a movie
exactly. That's why I'm happy to talk about it, but it's like I don't want to create the idea that I'm outraged about the latest Star Wars movie.
No.
I just there are things about it that disappointed me. That's all.
No, and to be honest, that's why I'm glad I waited 6 months, because I feel like if I had seen it at the height of the discussion, I would have been bringing all those emotions into the viewing experience, and I would have probably been like not comfortable watching it or something. You know what I mean? I would have had like all these conflicting emotions, and I think waiting 6 months and realizing that the conversation that revolved around it was largely stupid in the first place, that it just reduced any of my, like, I just didn't feel biased in any way. I felt like I was able to go in and decide whether I liked it, not care what people thought. So
I'll identify the thing I disliked most about this movie. Actually, now we've been talking about it, it's kind of come back to me. It was Luke, and not so much the stuff that happened on the planet when he was with Rey. I really hated the fact when he projected himself to Kylo Ren, who he had almost attempted to kill and kind of drove into the dark side. And Luke's big thing in the original trilogy, he's the one guy who believes that Darth Vader can be redeemed, that he can bring his father back to the light side. But no, when he almost kills his nephew and drives him off into the dark side, all he does is scorn him. He just scorns him in that confrontation and mocks him and makes him look like a fool and tells him he's a bad person. And I'm like, that is not what that character is about. I mean, he he contributed to Kylo Ren's fall, and he just has nothing but negative things to say to him. I'm not saying he should have been able to redeem him, but the fact that he was just so, I'm just like, there's I mean, he has no hope. He has no hope in humanity at all anymore, and it's just like it. And it's kind of framed as this heroic thing. It felt like we were supposed to cheer. It's like, oh man, Luke's really tearing into that dude, and not the and it just, I don't know. It didn't sit right.
It overlooks the tragedy that this is his nephew. Completely.
Yes, exactly.
And that's not a small
thing. There was no
thing.
Family relationship in that scene at all.
No, and
he was not the nephew who trained him as a Jedi.
and I mean, and there's all those emotional scenes with Leia surrounding it, so it makes it even stranger. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, I think anybody that's got that kind of, that's got any kind of relationship with uncles or nephews, just know that felt that I agree with you on that. I also feel like, I mean, I love anti-heroes and I love dark heroes, but I don't feel like every hero needs to be one. And I don't feel that like, and I don't feel like heroicism on its own has to be viewed with suspicion. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like there was a lot of, again, I sort of file under people putting things on a movie that a movie really doesn't owe anybody. I want to live in a world where we can have heroic Luke Skywalkers and we can have, darker anti-heroes. Do you know what I mean? I want both. But I feel like what was going on in that discussion is people were kind of saying, no, we have to pick one or the other. Do you know what I mean? We have to live in a world that's all X, Y, and Z, and it can't be these other things. And that's sort of what was frustrating me with the discussion and the debate surrounding the film.
And I'll say there's one other thing too. Kylo Ren's progression, like the way he has the scene with Rey, where he's like, "Look, we don't have to get involved in this fight. There's this. It's not our fight. Why are we on this whole thing? We should just go in a different direction." But then, so Kylo kills. I can't even remember his name. The big evil guy that.
Snoke.
Snoke. Yeah, he kills Snoke. But then he takes over and he just does the. It's like I was actually really interested during that scene. It's like, wow, what is this kind of third path Kylo's talking about? But no, he's like, okay, I'm the boss now. We're just going to be the Empire types, and we're just going to be the dark side guys. And we're just going to do the exact same thing and fight the rebellion.
And I do have to say, I thought that scene looked super cool. I like the style and visuals of that scene, the way that the characters looked, the way, just the colors of everything. It all looked good. So here's my feeling.
It felt like imaginably bankrupt. Like once Kylo Ren took over, they're like, well, we don't really have an idea for something new to do, so let's just have him. He's just going to do what Snoke would have done.
So I think when he told her that her parents were just like nobodies, that was a lie. That's
it seems that it's looking that way based on the title of the new movie.
And I know there's a lot of theories of why. Maybe it's just that's the name of the organization that's created in the wake of the Jedi or something, but I don't know. When I first saw the scene where he told her that, I was like, Luke was lied to too when he was told about his parents, and so it's not like there isn't a precedent for people lying about who your father is and who your mother is. So I don't know. I mean, sadly, I think what they're going to do is they're probably going to make the decision's already been made, but whatever they decided was probably determined by what's going to nab them the largest segment of the audience possible, right? Because that's kind of what they
business.
Yeah. So, but I think artistically, I think it makes more sense to have Kylo Ren have lied to her about her parents and to return to this being about Skywalkers. Do you know what I mean? I think I know people don't want it to be about Skywalkers for.
Well, it's the last movie of the series. I mean, to suddenly decide for the last 2 movies, this series about the Skywalkers isn't about the Skywalkers. It's like I mean, they're doing non-saga movies. It's like a saga is a story about a family over multiple generations. I mean,
and I know
it doesn't make sense. It's this saga isn't about them.
Well, and again, I file it under people putting things on a film or a concept that, because I think the argument against it is that by having this movie that's about the Skywalker line, who are these powerful Jedis, it sort of reinforces this notion of aristocracy or a royal bloodline. But I mean, living in America, like aristocracy and royal bloodlines have very little meaning to us. Do you know what I mean? It's not like a real palpable threat to. Do you know what I mean? It's just the way that I see it more as like a family line. Do you know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
Like, my dad was a great salesman, so maybe I'll be a great salesman type thing. Not, like that kind of a thing.
Yeah, and I mean, you can still keep the focus on the Skywalkers without saying that it's all about they're the best people in the universe, too. I mean, I don't know. There's other ways to do it.
And also that's not what they're saying about them. Darth Vader was one of the most horrible people.
Exactly.
So it's not that they're the greatest. It's that they have this, this power in their bloodline. But that's it's not like you can't have, I don't know. I just don't see it as like a moral or political message. I see it as,
as far as if you want these movies to not be, aristocratic and be democratic, the message of this movie was that they put out their call for help, and absolutely nobody in the universe cared about the rebellion. They sent out the distress messages like, nobody cares, which is. So this movie can't pose itself as being pro-democratic. It's the people just don't care. They're just sitting at home. No one's going to help us. Now, I mean, literally, that is part of the message of the movie. So,
well, and I mean, also, you don't need the, the political ideology of the filmmakers doesn't have to be reflected in the cosmology of the universe.
No, it doesn't. I'm not talking about that, but I'm saying if they're trying to get away from an aristocratic model, they're going the wrong direction. Well, if you live in a universe where the common people just sit on their butt and do nothing, well, then you need great leaders, don't you?
Well, I think what people were hoping for was that it was going to become something where the Force was accessible to anybody who wanted to train in it, sort of a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I actually like that. I mean, I really like in the first movie, going all the way back to the 70s. I liked it. I like when Obi-Wan offers to teach Han the Force. It's like, hey, I'll teach you that. That was, I mean, I was kind of sad the movies got away from that. So I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, and also what I would liken it to, I think when they say the Force is strong with you, I don't know, I sort of felt like that's not the only requirement of being a Jedi. Surely there are people that have weaker Force-like abilities, but are still really good Jedi because they excel at other aspects of being a Jedi, right? So otherwise, so I think it could be likened to having really strong internal energy in a wuxia series. Not everybody's going to be the internal energy master. That so but yeah, I don't know but we've probably gone on way too long now because we've like had a 30-minute Star Wars discussion.
Way off on a tangent here. So
but yeah, I don't know, maybe what we'll have to do is when that movie comes out, we'll have to watch it and talk about it, and but we'll see how people feel when that comes out. So again, we'll head out and we'll be back. I think probably on Wednesday because we got off schedule. So I'll probably be back on Wednesday to talk about the next Farscape episode, and then after that, we'll try to resume our Ipman on Sunday or something, I imagine. So until then, we will talk to you later.